残酷な天使のように少年よ神話になれ
Now that you've heard our intro,
Hopefully you heard our intro.
hopefully you listened to it.
And if you didn't, that's fine. You just jumped right in. That's okay, too.
We piqued your interest into Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is a special edition podcast, so we're going to go through episode by episode of the original series of Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you want to watch with us, we're actually watching everything on
Netflix.
And we're going to kind of jump right into episode number 1. And episode number 1 is called Angel Attack. It first aired on October 4th, 1995. This episode, if you've listened to our introduction, the basic premise of this whole show is younger children are called into action to fight angels that are pretty much about to cause another worldwide cataclysm.
We should talk about what these angels are.
Now, the angels themselves.
If you're thinking Christian angels, you're not right.
It's not. They use a lot of Judaism. They use a lot of evangelical Christianity. They use a lot of Kabbalism. There's a lot of different crazy things.
But as far
that
as what they
happen
look
into it.
like, I'm
Yes.
just saying, form.
Their form, the way that the angels work in their form, which is kind of crazy for it, they don't have a normal form for anything. They could be almost anything. It's just the way that they're
giant, though.
Yeah. I mean, they're major, huge. Angels are basically, it refers to any of Adam's 15 children. Now, if you think of Adam in the Bible, Adam was the first man. And in this show, he basically has 15 different children.
Okay.
And they are referred to as angels by the main protagonist in the show. And they have to, Nerve, which is the major body of this, and we'll get into who Nerve is here in just a second for it. They have to destroy these angels over this whole entire story. Adam is basically designated the first angel. He is Let me just read this off real quick. Adam itself, the designated first angel, is occasionally included with its offspring when speaking of angels collectively. One possibility is that angel actually refers to all beings whose origin is ultimately traceable to the first ancestral race. Now, this is some of the lore from this. This species, the prototypical humans for Neon Genesis Evangelion, produce the seeds of life in order to propagate new life forms on distant worlds, into which the FARs, the Adam's first children, souls would be reincarnated. Angel and apostle, the literal meaning of angel in Japanese is shito, inherently means messenger. So basically, these are messengers from Adam, the original, right? They're basically esteemed as gods by Adam's children and the Lilin, which we know to refer to both seeds of life and their progeny, could be thought of as messengers for their gods. So messengers for Adam and Lilith. The message is to be disseminated as humanity itself. So the way that I see these angels coming down is basically they could be placed on any kind of planet. And certain angels would be, the way I see it, would basically be what the life form may look like. Okay. They basically started appearing around Tokyo 3, 15 years after a major cataclysm hit, which in this first episode, you don't really get to see a lot of that. The episode starts off with basically Misato, which is one of the main characters in the show. She comes down and she's looking for somebody, right? She says, I can't believe
somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe I lost him on the very first day, because you see an angel attack and you don't even know what this thing is whenever it first happens.
Yeah. I was gonna say. So we're obviously we're watching this episode by episode. I've never seen it. What I would say the angel is, just from the first view, is just like a giant creature.
Yeah, it's weird because it's bigger than buildings.
Right.
It can't be stopped because they show the thing being attacked by helicopters. These weird flying helicopters, tanks, everything. See these big giant explosions, everything like that, and it's just basically kind of coming out of nowhere. This big lumbering, weird looking.
Don't
thing.
they like drop a bomb on it?
Well, they drop an into mine.
Are we not that far? Am I getting too far ahead of myself?
A little bit ahead.
I apologize.
So we'll kind of continue with the very first part because it's this little boy, and then he's trying to call on the radio, but the entire Tokyo 3 is deserted.
Right.
There's nobody there. You see one dude kind of like running off, like the last dude. You know what I mean? Cars parked on the side of the road, the doors open, people are escaping. And then you hear, all of a sudden, you hear this big loud boom, and then you see Shinji just basically shake. Everything in the whole place is shaking, so you can kind of see the size of this giant angel. And they just start hurling everything at it. So the first major organization that you see is the JSSDF, the Japanese Strategic Self-Defense Force. So this angel's coming down, and what you're seeing all of these helicopters, tanks, everything like that. So the JSSDF is basically it's an organization that functions in coordination with the United Nations forces. They provide support for Nerve and the Evangelions when they attempt to repel angel attacks. United Nations forces in this 2015 are often heavily composed of the armed forces of local militaries, which have all been united under the United Nations.
2015, guys.
Yeah,
takes place in the future.
Yeah, so it was in the future at that point whenever it came
right.
out. They support everybody with all of this equipment that they have, so they're drawing in all these people, and that's who you get to actually see first. You see these three generals kind of sitting down, and they're like, we're going to take this motherfucker down. We're going to take everybody down, and this is going to be
right.
it.
Yeah, they're like, we got this.
Yeah, but you're in this weird deal. So you got Masato, which Masato and Shinji are both in her car, and they're both kind of they're trying to escape, and at one point the angel almost steps on her car.
Right.
I mean, and
right.
she's acting like it's not a big deal at all. You know what I mean? She's like, "What the hell is this?" And Shinji's freaking out because he doesn't know what's going on, and it's basically like you still don't know what's happening. They're escaping. She's just sitting there to pick him up. You don't know what he's actually there for, and then that's where we kind of get into those actual military guys are like, we're gonna take this motherfucker down. We're gonna do it. So she's looking at the window of a car they're parked, and she goes, "Oh no, they're gonna they armed an N2 mine." Now, what an N2 mine is too, which is really cool, is actually the one of the biggest bombs that they basically created for this that doesn't have the fallout of a nuclear weapon. So it's the same explosion as a nuclear bomb, but it doesn't have the fallout for it.
Okay.
So it's not anything.
And they don't really explain that. They're just like, this
correct.
is a big ass bomb.
They're like, oh my God, I can't believe. And she's like, I can't believe they do it. And her car flips and goes all the way back and kind of slides into everything. And you're like, oh my God, you could still see the waves still coming through and the heat coming off of it. And that's when the major guys are just like, holy shit, we did it, because it shuts off everything. There's no power, anything, but then you see the other characters that are in the same room with these guys.
Right.
One of them is Gendo Ikari, and the other one is Kozo Fuyutsuki. He is kind of the second in charge, and you can kind of tell the hierarchy. And Gendo's sitting there by himself,
right? And
he's just kind of letting everything go. And he always covers his face, his mouth with his hands. And he does look kind of like he looks like a dick bag. He looks like an asshole. You know what I mean?
He kind of seems like that head of military douchebag that you see in. Things.
He's cool because his shit's unbuttoned. You know what I mean? He's wearing sunglasses, or just regular glasses, and he's like, "Oh, dude, this motherfucker's badass, right?" And like he doesn't care. And then the Kozo, or Professor Fuyutsuki, which they pronounce it wrong on the new dubs too. It's weird.
That's weird because I wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly. To me, it sounds different. But and they kind of allude to a little things in there because he's just basically watching, and he knows that it's not going to work. Everybody in that whole room, except for those three big general dudes,
Yeah,
that
they're
it's not
like
gonna
the
work.
military might will take care of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of those classic deals where we're going to do it and we don't need you. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, the thing's not dead. That's where Nerve comes in. Now,
Right.
Nerve is their major organization for everything. Nerve is basically a private organization, and it's under the direct supervision of the United Nations. So, of course, the more that the story gets on, the more that you're really going to see kind of who's in charge of everything and what's
Sure.
going on with
The
it.
hierarchy of what's going on, sure.
Yeah, exactly. They have limited authority over all local anything. So basically, they could shut the town down if they wanted to.
Okay.
You know, they could do anything. They also have the capability to kind of run the JSSDF.
Right.
The defense force there. So
They're kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, kind of, in a way.
In a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
They have all this autonomy to do whatever they want to, but still under certain jurisdictions.
Right.
To use everything. Whenever that bomb goes off and they look out and they're like, oh my God, it's still there. Then you can see.
That was a cool scene too, as
Yeah.
like the everything settles down and you can still see him coming through the
and you can see the haze and he's still walking. He's walking towards something.
Right.
And you don't know exactly where he's walking
Right.
to because you don't exactly know where Nerve is or anything like that.
Yeah, you don't really know anything, at this point.
Correct. And then that's when you kind of go back into Shinji and Misato. Now, let me just give you a brief breakdown of Shinji. He's the main person in this one, as you can already tell by watching the show. Centers around him 100%. He's the son of Gendo Akari and Yui Akari. Now, his mom has apparently passed away, but he's been sent to live with his sensei. That's where he's been.
Did they don't really mention that though in this episode.
Not too much, but you know that she's not there.
Right.
You know,
right.
you know that she's not there because he's been sent away. There's those certain illusions that you know that are already there. That
Right.
are already happening for it. And that's again kind of Masato kind of grabs him and they're headed towards Nerve Base. They got to get there, right? That's in this one scene too when they're driving in the car. You only get a couple of glimpses of the classical anime kind of style where it's kind of cheeky, a little bit fun.
Sure.
And whenever she's driving the car and she's lamenting about her clothes getting messed up and stuff like that. And, I just watched these, and then Shinji's he's a little bastard too, because he's like, is this legal? And look at the batteries in the back, and she's like, yeah, I operate by myself. I could do whatever I want to. He's like, are you sure? Is this okay? And she's like, whatever. Quit being such an asshole. You know what I mean? And that's Misato. Misato, she's a captain at Nerve at this point. She's in command of the Nerve's HQ Tactical Operations Branch. She coordinates the Evangelions in actual combat, and she's the daughter of Dr. Katsuragi and is the sole survivor of his expedition, which we get into a little bit more into the future. So everybody's kind of connected to this, what they call this second impact.
Right.
That's whenever that pretty much wiped everything out. So first impact, we'll learn about that too a little bit later on down everywhere.
So let me say, in this episode, the thing that I loved the most was when the car flipped like 17 times.
Yeah.
And then, they're looking off like at what's going on.
He's like, I could still
And
taste
then they're
it.
like, they just flip the car over, get back in that motherfucker and take off.
Damn right. Damn right. And that
I'm like, is that a Hot Wheel?
Yeah, exactly. And that car is a real car too. We'll get into what kind of car that is again in another further episode for it. But it's actually a real car. And that's why she says, "Oh, I just fixed this car up, and I still have 36 or like 300 payments, something stupid like that, like 56 payments left on it."
I think it was 30
crazy.
something, but then you're still like, that's 3 years. How long have you been?
Right.
You just fixed it up.
Right. Yeah. So they basically she's radioing or calling in, and she's talking to somebody. Hey, get a train ready, get a car train ready. We're headed there. We're actually there now. So that's when they're basically getting ready for something else too. That's whenever they're traveling through this big giant headquarters,
Right.
and it's huge. And one thing that you'll notice a lot of is there's not a lot of arbitrary characters around everywhere. You get to see some in this first episode,
Sure.
but not as much as you might think with a big giant facility.
Right.
Because when he's going down this train, they're actually underground. He's like, oh my God, this is an actual geofront.
Right.
And of course, it's like, what the hell is a geofront?